Okay, this is the first of two, I think, on our raised beds. So we have two right now. We have this U-shaped one here, and we have just a simple one over there. Now this one, this spring, I planted half of it in asparagus roots. So I've got about 12 asparagus sprouts popping up, and that's going to have to basically just be kept clean but left alone for like 3 years until those are ready to be harvested. So the other half of it we'll probably put cucumbers and zucchini in, and then back to this guy we have we normally put tomatoes on the left side, peppers in the back, and pole beans on the right, and maybe some lettuce or spinach. So the difference in these is, so for the first video here, the one on the left is actually made out of cedar, so it should be a little bit better off, but the one that you're looking at right now is made out of pine. And I was looking around for something I could get to preserve it that wouldn't be toxic. Obviously you don't want to put poison, you don't want to use treated wood for building a raised bed, and you don't want to put any poisonous stains or anything on it. So one product I did find, and I don't know if you can see it or not, I think you can, it's called Lifetime Wood Treatment from a company called Valhalla Wood Preservatives, and they're out of British Columbia. I think I got this a couple years ago. I did look them up, they're still around, and I think this packet costs like 18 bucks now. I'm not sure if that's US or Canadian, but I think it's around 18 bucks US. So anyway, this is a packet of powder that you then mix in with a gallon of water and use as a stain, and it's supposed to preserve the wood and not cause any toxicity in the soil. And they have several studies they've shown on their website if you want to go look at it, but it seemed to be reasonable to me. So I'm going to mix this together, put a coat on the U. If I have enough left, I'll put it on the cedar bed as well. It can't hurt. And that's going to be the end of this video. And then for the next video, we're going to add some soil, and we're going to put down paper to block the weeds and that kind of stuff. So that'll be next one. And just open this guy up. And it's kind of interesting. I don't really know what you'd say it looks like. But anyway, I'm going to mix that in, put it in the bucket. Lost a little there. Should have had it below the bucket. Anyway, fine. And then I've already got a gallon of water. Okay. Interesting. It has a tannish hue to it, but it also has some particles floating at the top, and I'm not sure if those are maybe that way because I bought it a couple years ago or not. So hopefully this works good. Like I said, it can't hurt. So I'm going to put you back over here, and I'm going to stain just an end here and get started, and then I'll stop it, and I'll finish the rest and bring it back to you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest, and then we'll see what it looks like after it sits and dries out. See if it makes it look any different or not. I'm not sure if it's actually going to look any different at all. It just, like I said, it's supposed to protect it, so I'll be back. It's now the next day. I went ahead and I stained the whole thing. I don't really see a difference, but it's not about looks. It's supposed to help, like I said, keep it from rotting. Pine obviously is much more prone to rot than cedar is. So I didn't have enough to do the cedar, but I think that's probably fine. I got everything covered in the pine that I could get to. It's not buried in dirt. Obviously, I should have done it when I built it and not now. So, you know, nothing on the manufacturer of the stain. I think it's good that there's something out there you can use on raised beds, and it seemed to work fine. It's easy. They ship you the powder and you mix it yourself. That's all good. I just should have done it when I built it. So, all right. Anyway, I'm going to spade this up just to turn it over and get rid of the little weeds that are popping up, and then I'm going to do a new layer to it. So when we put the dirt in the first place, we layered cow manure, peat moss, and topsoil. And I'm just going to put another layer on top after I spade it. So cow manure first, then the peat moss, then the topsoil. So that's what I'm going to do. So I don't know if you saw me pulling out all those white things. Those are the roots from those vines I was talking about, the morning glory type stuff. So ready to put on the, start with the cow manure. These guys, if you haven't lifted one of these, they're pretty heavy. So be careful. If you need help, no shame in asking. It's 3 cubic feet, but it's compressed. Okay, so that's everything I was going to do dirt-wise. I'm going to soak it good so that it's got a lot of moisture in it. Put the brown paper down and soak that so it stays in place. Okay, so this is the paper I was talking about. I got it at Lowe's. It was like 12 bucks, something like that. So it's 35 inches wide and 140 feet long. So I'm just going to put it down and soak it good, and we'll try that this year. I know in the past used like newspaper, which is harder and harder to come across. Nobody gets a newspaper anymore. But if you have a newspaper with soy inks, all black, no colors, then that's okay too. Anything that's not going to bleed poison into the soil. So, all right, we'll give it a shot. Okay, that's everything I'm going to do with this one. I need to spade up the other one and put paper down, but I'm not going to put that in the video, so I'm going to let it, the paper dry out a little bit, and then we're ready to make little X's in the paper and plant our plants in it, and everything should be good. We have some future plans. Right next to this, we're planning on putting a hoop house, a cattle fence hoop house over here on the other side. So as we're building that, I'll show you how the garden's progressing. So, well, I was going to end it there, but I got most of it planted, so I figured I'd show that to you real quick. So on this end, we've got some bell peppers. The small ones are ones I got started a little late, but they should be okay. They're hardened so they can take the weather. Some chocolate bell peppers, that's the store-bought ones there, and some bananas, and jalapenos, and I think some snacking peppers too. And then we get into the tomatoes, which there's way too many of. Most of these are full-size tomatoes. There's early girls, there's some yellows, there's some Mr. Stripies, there's some heirloom purples. And then the smaller tomatoes on the other side are cherry tomatoes, again, that I started. And there's a variety there too as well. Mostly red, but there's some purple and orange, and I think a yellow too. So, variety of tomatoes. And then over in the cedar bed, the asparagus I mentioned before is doing pretty good, or at least getting a pretty good start. And then I've got some cucumbers, some melons, and some zucchini that I got planted over here. So that'll fill up that end. Actually, it'll probably be way too much for that end. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you at the end here. So that's it for this week. And don't forget to subscribe.